Hello and welcome back to the Comic Lounge. Today is definitely going to be another, collection update, whatever. Of course, I did go back to, once again, to the same shop I go to here in Susanville, that being Highway to the Gaming Zone. And, of course, I am here with, it's still a very short haul, whatever, but again, about as you can see, there's 8 comics here, but nothing gonna be too, out there. Nothing too huge. There's no real big keys within this pile, but I do want to at least want to show them off. There's still something at least cool for any of these. So without further ado, I will see you after this. All right, so for this haul that I at least got from the again my trip and everything to Highway to the Gaming Zone, for the most part, this is actually going to be very much DC Comics dominated this time around, and it's within the DC pile that has any sort of, let's say, if you really can count them as like keys, but there's definitely some cool ones in here, some ones that are definitely interesting and are definitely worth showing. So I'll get to the DC Comics stuff before I get to any of the Marvel section, which is going to be ridiculously small. So most of these are going to be DC Comics. So the first one is actually probably the most key-worthy issue of them all, but it's definitely at times very small key. There's definitely another one in here that's also a key, but this one I think is going to be interesting because of these are obviously the two characters that are still the most heart and soul of DC Comics, but it is World's Finest Comics issue 298. Which is again from the very end of 1983. So we're kind of getting into the beginning of pretty much what people will say the beginning of the Copper Age, but I say we were already in the Copper, but still, this is 298 again from 1983 December, and again just Superman and Batman, and this is actually does the reason that makes this one a key is that. And it's a very, very small key, but it's like the first appearance for this member right here, or at least this character right here named Zeta, who was apparently a member of the Pantheon. Again, I'm not that well rooted in, let's say, a lot of Superman and Batman or DC comic stuff from, let's say, the Silver Age to like Bronze Age, or even, let's say, let alone Golden Age. But still, this was actually $3, and again, it's a direct edition, but what really jumped out at me is that this is actually one of the sharpest looking copies, or the sharpest at least of the issues I've seen. It's was like to get $3 and in this type of condition, besides here and there maybe some bend, small little creases, some dings here and there, but it's not super noticeable. It's very minimal, and it's not super color breaking, whatever. It's still a very nice looking copy. It's very much, it's almost borders on being maybe a very fine and near mint copy. It's very, very good looking, so it's just a nice copy again for $3. Still, that's really what the only thing that really jumped out at me as far as the sort of reason for me to actually get this and pay $3 for it. And it's also the most key-worthy issue of, I think, of most of the World's Finest I've seen at the shop here in Susanville. And I'll say you this: the whatever that is, I'd say the number of World's Finest issues that they have, whatever they have, is small. So this was one of them, and it's really the best looking of the bunch. So there you go, World's Finest Comics number 298 first appearance of Zeta, the Pantheon member. So there you have it. This next one up is, the reason I got this one is not because of this was a key issue, but because of the character that is featured in this one. What I'm talking about and is Hawkman Annual, or Hawk World Annual, Hawk World Annual number 2. The only reason I got this is not even that I don't have anything from this sort of. This was part of what the Armageddon 2001 event, which was an event that spanned throughout all the other, let's say, annuals, or maybe even into certain issues of within the DC Comics sort of catalog that they were putting out at this time. But the only reason I wanted this, for the most part, is that it actually has Deathstroke in it, and you know me, I pretty much am going to collect anything that might have Deathstroke in it, especially if it's going to be late, especially let's say like 80s to at least 90s period, and maybe close to early 2000s. That period is where I'm mostly interested in for the character. But of all the sort of Armageddon 2001 event issues, whatever, this one, and I think even one of the no, I don't think he's not even that one either. But yeah, the New Titans annual, whatever, from there. So yeah, this is like his only sort of apparently this is only addition to the story. He's only apparently this is it. So that's the only reason I got it, and I haven't yet bagged and boarded this. So again, for $3, and it's not in great condition. And I don't know if you can notice, but there's definitely a little bit of a tear there, and there's definitely a tear right there as well. So it's not super great. You know, it looks great, but there's definitely some small ticks here and there. But still, that's why I wanted it, because it's got Deathstroke in it. So that's why. No key. Still great cover though, Graham Nolan. So can't go wrong. Now, speaking of some Deathstroke, here we have some here that does have a minute, and I've been getting here and there some of the late 2000s Titans comics. So I picked this one up and wanted to get it one of the last couple times, but again, I didn't know if I want to pay $5, but this time I decided to cave in. But it's Titans number 26, because I have 24 and 25, which were the Lex Luthor issues. But this one only got me again. It's a very interesting Cheshire cover, because she's mourning and everything. But the reason I wanted this in the first place is the fact that this is actually kind of a crazy story. Is that actually, and I'm kind of curious about what's the whole reason why they go after like a child trafficking sort of ring, whatever. But again, it's Deathstroke. He's got this is basically around this period of within the issues, this became Deathstroke the Terminator Dominator. I know they weren't calling him Deathstroke the Terminator, but that's always what he was called from the very beginning. So he put his own little team together. I know it started with the Villains for Hire one-shot issue, but here they go after a child trafficking ring. So this was always kind of made me wonder, question, were they trying to make him more of the villain during this time? Were they trying to go back to him being a bit more of a anti-hero? But at least I always said felt more anti-villain during this period. So he definitely, there is some evil intentions, but at the same time, his overall intentions are more anti-hero-esque, especially during this period. So there's a reason why. So I'm just kind of curious how they write it. That's all. Still, $5. Never got to having yet the bag and board and everything. It's not a bad looking copy, by the way. So there you go. Speaking of something else interesting, I didn't get this one mainly for Deathstroke, but I got for, of course, his daughter Rose Wilson. But what really made me go for it, and this was $3, and it's actually something I don't see a lot of newsstands from, especially around the 2010s. So what we have is Teen Titans number 79. Great, by the way, great Joe Bennett art doing Static Shock. But again, this also has Again, Rose Wilson, and she's also part of the main story in this one. There's like 2 different stories in this issue. But what really caught my eye at this one, again, $3 for this one. It's a newsstand. It's a newsstand edition, especially for a comic from 2010. During a period where newsstand editions were becoming less and less frequent. They were about to phase out more and more of the newsstand, but this is one of the surviving newsstands, I think, from that period. So during my research, I don't see a lot of people selling a newsstand. If I am, or if they are, I've yet to find it within the abundance of direct editions. So I don't know how many, let's say, printings this newsstand got, but I know it's at least was less than what the direct edition. So this one is really cool, and I think they mostly were basing the price off of the direct copies, because the shop, there is no database as far for what the value for the newsstand of this goes for any of the other of these from this year, especially towards the end of this run. So there's not a clear database sort of where you can look up what are the current value, what exists, like for a newsstand. So that's the only reason. So they're mostly we're going by the price for the direct. So again, $3 normally would probably be for the direct, even though this when this was released, this was pretty much $4. But nowadays it is definitely very low these days. People are you're not going to sell it for $5 or $6 at this point. It's not that type of a comic where people really want it, unless you do something with Static Shock that make people want to try and go back to it. And I remember the cartoon from the early 2000s. That definitely tells you the age of me for how long I've at least known about some of these characters, when it was WB Kids. But still, it's rare to find a newsstand for something from something that was like pressed whatever for in like the early 2010s or whatever, like the 2000s. It's definitely something. It's not perfect condition by any means, but you don't see newsstands for any of these very much. So great buy. Again, got it for Ravager, aka Rose Wilson. Speaking of more Deathstroke, here we have it. This one is considered a key. So this is a new Titans number 79. This would still be a part of the Titans Hunt story. But what makes this a key is that this is the first appearance of the Team Titans. So this is the first appearance for them in the comic. So of course, eventually they would get their own sort of solo series, and that would start with number 1, part of the Total Chaos storyline, whatever that was, spanning from New Titans to Deathstroke to Terminator, and then of course Teen Titans for a couple issues. But this is their very first appearance. They're like alt versions or alt reality versions, whatever, of the Titans. So that also included Terra, who of course would be considered a clone for the team. But still, if you're not very familiar, Terra would have died a part of the whole Judas contract story, especially with one of the annuals. I think it was like the Teen Titans annual, or one of those from the 80s. Again, it would be like 4th part for the Judas contract. So there we go. Still, first appearance for the Teen Titans in this issue, and it's a very good looking copy, by the way. Not super perfect, but it's definitely a very sharp copy nonetheless. Again, $3. That's how much it's worth anyways. Alright, so that's basically ends it for all the DC stuff. So definitely there's at least only 2 actual keys within that pile. Let's get to the rest. Here's the small Marvel one, and there's not really very many keys in these, but there are definitely ones that I like collecting. So besides Deathstroke, one other character I like collecting is the Punisher. So I got a couple here. Here we have this number 41. Fairly good looking copy, nothing perfect. This is more like a filler issue, but for me with Punisher, sometimes I like reading filler issues and so on. I like getting them. And this one was a pretty cool one. This actually has an appearance of Nick Fury in the issue. So that's the only other reason too, and it's kind of because of there's not a whole lot of comics with Punisher and Nick Fury together. So this was actually one that caught my eye. It's a filler issue, but it's, again, sometimes I enjoy filler issues just as much as I enjoy what it keys, and there's very little key Punisher issues here and there within the series. There was like, for the most part, all of them are almost filler, but there are still keys Punisher issues, but not super key Punisher issues. So there you go. But yeah, number 41. This one I did get the bag and board because of obviously when I do buy from this shop, I have to bag and board them anyways because of they end up in these real dirty. I don't know if you will ever notice, but like for example, they get put in sometimes in these types of little baggies and they get dirty, they get bent, whatever. And for me, I'm so anal about keeping comics in these condition, in these bags that get warped, whatever, and these boxes that they leave in there for months and months. So for me, when I get these and I take them back to the house, I immediately have to take them out and board them up, whatever, put them in brand new bags, even on like brand new boards and everything. So therefore, they're much more better, so they can keep straight condition and so on. There you go. I know I'm kind of stuttering here and there, but you get the point. I have to and I'm anal about that because of it's bad for when you do something like that. You want to take them out of this dirty, filthy bag that has been rummaging in dirt and like dust, whatever, you don't want them in there. They get dirty over time. It just doesn't. So keep them in a minute. I get when I have brand new boards, whatever, I have to keep them out. I have to take them out, put them in. Here you go. So the next Punisher issue I picked up is, again, it's still a fairly good-looking copy for it, and it's another filler, but it's got a great cover, mostly for the list of, or the number of iconic artists. But here we have is number 47, and again, this is like one of the more Middle Eastern or whatever, political, whatever, current events, whatever, that they were trying to tie in with the Punisher during the period. So this was like a time capsule for what's the whole, what were the issues, whatever, what was the topics for basically, what was the current events in the early 90s, and this was one of them. Again, Desert Storm, the whole Middle Eastern wars and everything. But really, what is cool about this one is that you got some all-star artists on this one, including John Romita Sr., who actually is one of the main pencilers on the cover, and he's obviously was the one who got the ink, his very first appearance. Again, ASM 129, Gil Kane and John Romita Sr. Then after that, John Romita Sr. would here and there would kind of pencil the covers, like for his second full appearance issue, and then eventually the Amazing Spider-Man at 201. So there you have it, some classic ones. But this is him. And during this period, John Romita Jr. was actually here and there doing Punisher, but the Senior comes back along and participates in this particular issue for this cover. And of course, you have Carl Kessel, Hugh Haynes, who's still brand new at the time, and of course, Terry Austin, another guy who has done a veteran artist, whatever, has done plenty for some of these issues. So that's the reason. Still great cover, but by the way, with some iconic artists partaking in this cover. There you go. Now, finally, let's get into the final one. And again, this is still a fairly good-looking copy, but there's definitely some dings, but it's not perfect. But again, for $3 here and there, I'm just trying to collect some of these Elektra Assassin issues. The ones from Frank Miller. Though, again, this is issue number 5. Again, this was for $3. I took it out of the original bag and put it into a brand new one when I bought it, just like I did with the other 2 Punisher issues there. So. Same thing even for the World's Finest, which I all got on the same day as this. But this is part 5 in this series, this sort of mini. And again, it's god dang, I just can't get over how just completely weird and unique and bizarre at times Bill Sienkiewicz's art for these. And then this is obviously was Frank Miller's idea. He obviously was the visionary for this mini. So he obviously was the one that had probably more say in what he wanted the covers to look like. And so you just get this weird kind of, I don't know, almost kind of gives me like John Water vibes, you know, the director. It's just ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. But hey, this is one of the most divisive miniseries ever, I think, from Frank Miller, especially during his prime. So there you go. And again, I have number 3 here and there. Whenever I find these, I try to get them. So there you have it. Again, number 5, and eventually I'll get number 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, and then 8. So eventually I'm going to try and collect all of them. So there you have it. A bit of a longer video this time around, but hey, some stuff I speak on, whatever. So if you have any sort of thoughts on any of the comics that I showed you, you can all leave them down in the comment section below. But if you like what you're still seeing and you want to kind of keep track of what I put out next, hit that subscribe button. It'll do me well and it'll do you well. You'll never miss out any brand new content. So with that, keep on collecting, keep on hunting, keep on reading, and just keep on buying comic books, everybody. Take care, everyone.